Hi, so my name is Cynthia Gonzalez. I'm a financial aid advisor at the Chicago School of Professional Psychology. I'm typically located or stationed at the LA campus in downtown LA. So today we're going to talk about student finance. Thank you so much for joining us. The agenda for today would be who is student finance, financial aid fund sources, talk about cost of attendance, we'll let you know what are some important things to remember, important policies, additional services, contact information, and then we'll have questions, but we'll have the breakout sessions later on today and Friday. Who is student finance? So today I am going to also let you guys know what is the difference of financial aid and student accounts. A lot of the times, a lot of people think that we are all on the same department and that we all do the same task, but I'm going to explain to you on what are the differences in both departments. So student finance is basically the umbrella of both of us, right? So both of financial aid and student accounts. So student finance is comprised of two areas, financial aid and student accounts. Financial aid is primarily responsible for packaging, determining student eligibility for federal, state, and institutional aid. So basically, which you probably have already gotten emails from me, or we probably talked on the phone already. So we're helping students get their financial aid completed before the semester starts, right? So we collect documents, we determine any potential holds that might hold back your financial aid, any supporting, anything that we need to be able to have your financial aid complete. It would be the financial aid department. Student accounts, however, is primarily responsible for posting tuition, fees, and aid received and student stipends, also responsible for involving third-party funding and establishing student payment plans. So student accounts is basically after the fact, right? So that department is basically checking on students. If they see that they don't have financial aid completed or coming in, then they contact you guys and let you know, hey, we see that you don't have financial aid. Were you planning to pay out of pocket? Did you want to set up a payment plan? They are also the department that works with your stipends, right? So your stipends, which is the credit balance, right? So sometimes financial aid, you get approved for a loan and then there's a credit balance, right? So it will be student accounts that will determine how much it would be when they post it on their ledger, any discounts that haven't been posted, any late fees, it would all be student accounts. It will not be financial aid. Financial aid is basically just getting your loans or your grants, all your fund source set up before the semester starts. Okay, financial aid fund sources. So the different financial aid fund sources that we offer at the Chicago School of Professional Psychology are a number of them. So the first one is the best one, right? Scholarships. So who doesn't like scholarships? Scholarships you don't have to return back. We always highly advise to students to reach out to the admissions department to determine what scholarships are available, right? So because you don't have to pay that money back, we wouldn't want our students to take out more loans than we need to. That is not the goal. The goal is to get your education to be paid for, and you don't have to pay it back, right? So we definitely advise to reach out to the admissions department or even outside scholarships as well to be able to get that for free. Next would be federal grants. That is only for undergrad students. There's the Pell Grant and the SEOG. A lot of the times it would have to do with schedule, right? So your schedule, you want to make sure that, at least for undergrad students, you want to make sure that your full-time status and also sometimes your EFC will determine how much you would be eligible for the federal grants. There's also state grants, which is also just for undergrad students that you would have to apply for online, and that's for California residents. Next would be student loans, right? So student loans, subsidized loans, it will only be for undergrad students. That subsidized loan is you won't get interest until 6 months after you graduate, right? So we'll determine eligibility for that subsidized loan is typically a lot less than unsubsidized, but you won't get interest until after 6 months after you graduate. Unsubsidized loans is the loan that most students will be eligible for, and that's for undergrad and graduate students. For graduate students, it would only be unsubsidized loans, depending on your loan history and your aggregate limit. So a lot of you might have already finished your financial aid package, and you would see on there that it was the unsubsidized loan that you're were eligible for. And also typically the average amount is about $20,500, what most students are eligible for, but then again, it depends on your loan history. Graduate and parent plus loans. So again, undergrad dependent students could be eligible for the parent plus loan. So basically that is credit based. So say that you are an undergrad student and you still need additional funding to pay for your tuition and fees or for living expenses, your parent can definitely apply for the plus loan as long as you're a dependent student. The graduate plus loan is another popular loan that a lot of graduate students apply for. And that is typically a little bit higher interest than the unsubsidized loan. However, it is an option if you want additional funding for living expenses, books and supplies, anything in that sort, if you feel that the unsubsidized loan that you were eligible for wasn't enough. So the Graduate Plus loan is definitely something that most students get as well. Private and alternative loans, that some examples of those would be Sallie Mae, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, anything in that sort. However, we always we've noticed that a lot of those loans, sometimes they are a little bit higher interest compared to the unsubsidized loan and the Graduate Plus loan. So sometimes you'll see like, hey, you apply for the Graduate Plus loan, but you haven't accepted your unsubsidized, right? So sometimes we'll reach out and let you know like, hey, go ahead and, if you wanted the max amount in Graduate Plus, maybe you want to accept the unsubsidized first because that's lower interest. So we always want the best for the student. We wouldn't want you or any student to take out more money or have to take out a loan that's higher interest. But definitely, if you don't want any of the federal loans, you're more than welcome to apply for the private loans as well. Lastly would be the federal work study program. So we do take that as well. You can apply for that. You can apply for that on our website. If it's not available, I'll let you know what to do, and contact us if you're interested in working in federal work study, and we'll determine eligibility. And but however, the financial aid department is not responsible to look for the jobs, right? So you would have to reach out to the departments directly once you know that you're eligible for federal work study. Next is cost of attendance. I highly suggest to take notes on this part of the presentation. It's very important. A lot of students would benefit from knowing what cost of attendance is. Just to give a breakdown on how you can better budget your finances for federal aid. So the cost of attendance, the definition of cost of attendance is for a student is an estimate of the student's educational expenses for a period of enrollment that may include tuition, fees, estimated textbook expense, room and board, transportation, and other miscellaneous expenses. So cost of attendance is basically not just the cost of tuition and fees, but it's more of, say that a student doesn't want to work, right? Wants to focus 100% on going to school. And cost of attendance is basically an average amount on what the Department of Education says it'll cost to just go to school 100%, right? So this will give you an average amount on how much you would need to survive, right? In other words, so to survive, to be able to pay for your tuition, pay for your books, pay to live, for rent, and anything else of miscellaneous. Okay, to give you a better visual of what we're talking about, a student's total funding cannot exceed their cost of attendance. Each program has a unique cost of attendance. For example, so for the 2020-2021, it goes by program and it goes by how many units you'll be taking for the 2 semesters. So for example, for the master's program, the tuition and fees on estimates going to be for the year, right? So for the fall and the spring, it'll be about $26,048. Other expenses, including room and board, transportation, books and supplies, that can be on average for the full 2 semesters, fall and spring, can be about $29,040. So in total, your cost of attendance is $55,084. That is basically the number, or the magic number, if you want to call it, that the limit that it costs to be able to go to school at the Chicago School of Professional Psychology based on your master's program and how many units you'll be taking. So that's the magic number. Say that you are eligible, right, for the 20,500 in the unsubsidized loan. So you would subtract that. So it'll be 55,084 minus 20,500. That leaves you on about 34,584. So that means, say that you still need additional funding. Say that, you got laid off. We are in a pandemic, so things do happen. You get laid off, you already accept your unsubsidized loan. You thought that you were going to have income coming in, but you don't. So because that is your cost of attendance for the fall and the spring semester, you may apply for the Graduate Plus loan up to 34,584. So it gives you that option to be able to apply for that. And keep in mind, it is credit based. It doesn't guarantee that you get approved, right? However, you have that option. It's that ease to be able to focus on your education. It's that ease to not be stressed out that you can't afford to be able to get your degree. So just keep that in mind. If you wanted more details on maybe on your specific program, right, or how many years you'll be taking, you're more than welcome to give us a call or make an appointment with us later this week, today or on Friday, to answer any questions. Next would be things to remember. So sometimes, we haven't even completed our FAFSA, right? So we can't start your financial aid process until we have a FAFSA on file. So you want to make sure you complete that as soon as possible. This is the student code, right? The student code for the Chicago school would be B as in boy 07022. There are times that, sometimes we miss a number and we don't get it, right? We don't get it. So it's really important to know, right, if you haven't heard from us like within 72 hours that you completed your FAFSA, say that you still haven't got an award letter, you haven't heard anything, right? Even now a week has passed by, and you completed your FAFSA, you want to reach out to us, and there could be as simple as just one digit was off. So you want to make sure that you get that completed as soon as possible and everything is correct. Next would be understand your loan history and lifetime borrowing limits. Like we mentioned earlier, you want to be mindful of how many loans you are taking out throughout your educational journey. Just because there is that, you'll be eligible for that 20,500, right? You're good. And then we have that Graduate Plus. Keep in mind, for the unsubsidized loan, there is a limit, right? So there is a limit. We wouldn't want students to get to the point, right, of you're taking out all these loans and you won't have enough to finish your education. So we stress this highly to definitely be mindful of how much you're taking out on your loans, and connect with us on saying, hey, like, how much do you think I should take out? How much is it for just tuition fees? I don't need any additional funds, right? I don't need that stipend. So but if you just kind of want to do it on your own, you can do that too, and you would go to that website. Next would be, we fund every 2 semesters. So just because you were eligible for the 20,500, that it is not for your full program, right? So we do it by every 2 semesters. So it'll be for this coming academic year, so it'll be for the fall and the spring. If you're a PsyD clinical psychology student, it'll be the same thing. It'll be fall and the spring, and then the next academic year, it'll be for 3 semesters. But of course, we adjust their eligibility, but that's because it's a different program. So keep that in mind. So it's every 2 semesters. Next would be approve, adjust, decline individual awards on annual award letters. So again, keep in mind, just because you were awarded or you're eligible up to the 20,500, that does not mean you have to take out the full amount. So if you feel that you only need the 10,000, right? Because you saved up and you're like, okay, I'm going to go to grad school. I have so many saved up, and I'm going to pay out of pocket on part of that, right? That's definitely an option. So don't feel ever obligated on having to take out that full amount. We highly don't want students to take out more than that they need. So there is that option: approve, adjust, decline. Next would be submit all documentation in a timely manner. So, it is getting closer to the semester start, right? So we're kind of like a month and a half away. You want to make sure that you are submitting all your documentation before the semester starts. We even suggest to complete everything at least 2 weeks ahead of time in case anything comes up, anything, and in case there's additional documentation we would need. We just want to make sure that we complete your financial aid as soon as possible. And that would lead us to my last point, would be monitor your email regularly. So we will be contacting you, at least once a week, once every 2 weeks, if we need more information, right? So if we need additional documentation, if we need, your award letter, like we need to know if you are approving, declining, or reducing your award letter, or say that you're not even interested in financial aid, right? So we need those updates to be able to complete your financial aid. We want to release any unnecessary stress that students might have when it comes to financing your education. We are the financial department, and we want to take care of you guys, and just make sure that everything goes smoothly when you go into your fall semester. We don't want unnecessary stress that happen to us. We're here to help you guys so you can have a smooth transition into the fall semester. Next would be the fall disbursements and student refund. So financial aid disbursements are requested about 9 days after the semester begins. So, a lot of the students say the semester starts, your charges are already posted, you see that you have a balance of $10,000, and you know that we already sent you an email like, hey, your financial aid is complete, but then you still see the balance. That's the reason is because we request your financial aid disbursements 9 days after. So don't freak out. It's still coming. You'll be able to see that disbursement date on your award letter as well, right? So be within that week. So say that, so for example, for the fall semester, say your financial aid is already complete. August 31st is the first day. So about like a week and a half, that's when your charges will get paid, right? So don't freak out. It's still processing. As long as it's complete, you're good, right? But you want to make sure that if you say that you didn't get a confirmation email from us, give us a call, say, hey, I just wanted to have get an update on my financial aid and making sure that everything looks good. And we're more than happy to check that for you. Next would be your stipend, right? So that's always something that a lot of students are looking forward to. I know me myself as a grad student as well. I look forward to that stipend, right? To maybe get a new laptop or, to help with education expenses. That stipend will not come in 9 days. So your tuition and fees will get paid first, which is in those 9 days that we mentioned. Your stipend will come in later. So it will come in 7 or 14 business days after your tuition gets paid. So that's going to be later in the month, right? So if anything, just say like a month after the semester starts, if you want to kind of get a better idea. That's if you have a stipend. Student accounts, right? Going back to student accounts, they're the ones that issue the refunds directly to the students within 14 days after the financial aid credit is available. Refunds are issued either by mail, check, or direct deposit. Refund stipends amount may vary each semester. So keep that in mind, that you will always get, for your financial aid, it'll get dispersed and divided evenly. Right, so you say they accepted the $20,500 for the fall and spring semesters, so it's about roughly $10,000 each semester. Say in the fall you take 12 units, right? 12 units, you're full time. You want to go, you want to stay on track. Spring comes along, you're like, you know what? Maybe I just want to take 6. I don't want to take as much, right? So in the fall, you'll get maybe a smaller stipend. Right? You got a smaller stipend because the tuition fees were a lot more. You took 12 units. When the spring comes around, since you're taking less units, say you even take 3 units, right? That means that you're still going to get the same disbursement, but you're going to get much larger stipend. Keep also in mind that if your schedule does change dramatically, say that you're budgeted to be full-time for that academic year, that can actually change, right? So your stipend still can change. If your schedule changes that dramatically, then we can still adjust your loans, because we're not going to, or the Department of Education is not going to pay the student for units that they're not actually taking, right? So keep that in mind, that it's that it could be changing constantly depending on your schedule. Next would be budgets, refunds according to the entire academic year. So what we kind of touched base already. So it's the full academic year. It's for the 2 semesters, and it's going off of your schedule. So just kind of be mindful that any adjustments that you make to your schedule can affect your financial aid eligibility and how much your stipend would be, or if it'll cover your balance, right? And of course, we'll talk more about that in detail in a couple slides. Okay, so next we're going to talk about important policies. So attendance. So students must be reported active in courses to be eligible for financial aid disbursements. Financial aid is for tuition and fees, right, for students. So if a student isn't active or even enrolled in any courses, you will not be eligible for financial aid. Financial aid is strictly for educational purposes, and then of course, cost of living and things in that sort, but you must be enrolled in courses. Next would be enrollment status. Students must maintain at least half-time enrollment status to remain eligible for financial aid. For undergrad students, you must be registered for the minimum of 6 units per semester. That will be considered half-time. For graduate students, it will be 3 units each semester. So that's considered half-time. If you are registered for 5 units, that would be for full-time for graduate students. So just be mindful of that as well. Make sure you stay connected with your academic advisor about that, to make sure that you're always at least half-time to be eligible for financial aid. Next would be satisfactory academic progress. So say, for example, you are registered for classes every semester. You are at least half-time every semester, right? But your GPA or you're failing your classes, right? So that means your GPA is getting affected. So your GPA is not being fulfilled, right, at the average or what the satisfactory academic progress is. So that is something you want to be very mindful, that just because you are registered for courses, just because you are at least half-time, but you're failing your classes, that can affect your financial aid eligibility as well. So you want to make sure that you fulfill all these requirements, or always touch base with your student support counselor or your academic advisor on making sure that you're fulfilling all of those requirements. Next would be in-school deferment. So in-school deferment, say that you are transferring from another university and you took out a loan, you want to make sure that those loans aren't always deferred. So deferred is basically saying that you are now enrolled into another school and you are not going to pay those loans yet. Because it's supposed to be until 6 months after you graduate, right? So for the subsidized and unsubsidized loans, it takes about 6 months to be able to start repaying those back. It doesn't always get automatically deferred, so you want to make sure that you stay connected with the registrar's office to make sure that all loans are being deferred. Tuition refunds for dropped, withdrawn courses. This is also very important. If you ever decide to withdraw from the program or withdraw from any courses that can cause you to be less than half-time and not eligible for financial aid, we highly, highly recommend for you to contact us before the semester starts, or to let us know at least within the first week of the semester. This would mean that you can get your full refund. You will not have to pay anything back, and you'll be in good standing. So it'll avoid any type of, okay, you'll be charged at 10%, you'll be charged at 20%. You only get this much amount as a refund. So the sooner you let us know, the better, and to avoid any amounts not being able to get refunded. And also, if you wanted more details about what's the latest that you can get refunded, would be on our catalog as well. It shows all the policies on there. And that leads me next to the R2 T4 policy. So if you are enrolled 60%, say that you are, you attended class 60% of the semester, sometimes there isn't a refund, right? So you want to make sure that you're mindful of that, and we'll give you more information. It's case by case, right? So everyone is different, but the dates are very, very specific as well. And you can check that on, if you want more detail about that, you can check on our catalog. Next would be additional services. Book voucher. So book vouchers are for students, are provided an opportunity to purchase textbooks in advance without an additional out-of-pocket expense with an approved book voucher. Book vouchers are repaid with approved anticipated financial aid that exceeds institutional charges. So in other words, a book voucher is, you can be eligible for a book voucher if your financial aid is complete, right? So you're getting that confirmation from us, you're getting some financial aid coming in. And then two would be that you're getting a stipend. So remember how we were talking about having a credit balance or a stipend? So your tuition fees get paid, and then you get that nice check to buy your laptop or use for room and board or transportation. That stipend, you must have enough in that stipend to be able to get a book voucher, right? So basically what it is, we use that stipend that you would have got at the end of the month, like a month after the semester starts. We're going to give that to you, or you'll have access to that before the semester starts. Instead of getting it after the semester starts, you'll get it before the semester starts. Keep in mind, this isn't, it isn't extra funds. It isn't free. It's not like a voucher to get free books. This is part of your financial aid. So you were going to get these funds later on after the semester starts, but the book voucher, you're getting it beforehand. Also keep in mind that this is only for our bookstore, right? So you get to, request either $350 or $650 and use it for our bookstore. If for some reason you change your mind, you submitted that request and you're like, you know what, I found the book somewhere else, right? Or you just didn't end up using it, you'll be able to get it 30 days after you requested it. So keep that in mind as well. So you won't get that stipend until later on. Another program that we highly suggest for for students to look into is the I3 group. So this, like we mentioned, we always want our students to be mindful of how much you're taking out. We know that these are student loans, right? So you still have to pay them back, right? But if there's ways that you can be mindful of how much you're taking out, know that you don't have to take out all of it, right? You can only take a limited amount and just pay for tuition fees because you really don't need that stipend unless you need it for a book voucher. Definitely use these type of programs. This program, the I3 group program, will help you, give you more information about repayment plans, about deferment, about loan forgiveness, right? If there's any ways that you don't have to pay these loans back, definitely reach out to these programs to let you know what your options are. So, and of course, there's always the pros and there's always the cons with, student loans, right? So you want to make sure that you're as open and informed of the whole process of student finance. So eyeontuition.com. That's where you would go. Okay. And this is our contact information, right? So we are located around the US, right? So we're located in California, of course, located in Chicago, Texas, right? We're all over the US. We're here to support you guys. Any information, any questions that you might have, we're here for you guys. We will have those breakout sessions. It should be today and on Friday. But if for some reason you don't think about any questions, then you're more than welcome to email us as well. We try to contact you as soon as possible, or you can just give us a quick call, right? Give us a quick call and say, hey, I remember you mentioned this, or anything in that sort. We're more than happy to help. So our number is listed there. You can take a picture or to have it for your records. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you. Have a great day.